The following is a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about them Cowboys?
Yeah! Go Cowboys! This is Cowboys StoryLine with Nick Eatman.
I'm sorry. That's it. That's all I can say is that I'm sorry. Sorry that this happened. Cowboys StoryLine, Nick Eatman, Tuesday, January 16th, season over. You guys know all that. But I feel bad for everybody, but I definitely feel for the fans because the fans, you guys deserve it. You guys deserve better than this. I'm not pointing fingers at anybody because Lord knows there aren't enough fingers and toes and elbows to point at for this one because it was an absolute horrific game that you guys saw and I'm probably trying to get over. But that's more than anything in these last few months of doing this show, it's kind of reconnected me to the fan base a little bit more because when you're doing shows like this and with 3 or 4 other people and you sit in the press box all the time and you're just kind of more disconnected from the fans. But this show's kind of brought me back in. Not that I don't know what it's like to be a fan, but it's certainly a little bit different when you do the show every day and to hear from you guys and all the passion that you have and to know just how bad this one hurts. Hurts as much as any game that I can remember just because the expectations were so high and the reality ended up being so low. I don't know if I can remember a game that was that bad. Usually in some of the other losses, you're throwing into the end zone, you're trying to spike it, trying to get a last-second throw, whatever. But this one was over in the second quarter. And I don't think anybody saw that one coming. Doesn't matter what state you live in, you didn't see that one coming. All right. 888-855-2297 is the number to call. You can text at 817-290-3298. This will be the last show we do in the regular season format, the 10 a.m. shows daily. We will go to weekly starting now. But our show is going to be moving to the afternoon. I'm a little worried about that because all these callers that have called in, that they're obviously worked for your schedule. At 10 a.m., we're going to be moving it to 1 p.m., so maybe we pick up some callers that usually can't call in the mornings or whatever. Hopefully we don't lose that many, and we will be doing it definitely once a week, working on twice a week. We'll see how that goes. All right, let's get it started, though. Michael, Colton, California.
Hey, what's going on, Nick? Good morning to the whole Cowboys Nation. Man, Nick, I like I told you all year, man, I wasn't trying to be negative or anything, but I call it how I see it, I'm from California. A lot of people hate it, but it's the show me state. You know what I'm saying? And
no, it isn't. It isn't, actually, but whatever.
Actually, it is, bro. Straight up. Something you don't know about, because I try to tell you about the
that's actually Missouri, so I was just letting you know that that's really not the show me state. Go ahead, though. Go ahead.
Okay, but we try to tell you all year, me, Rob from Vegas, another gentleman from Alabama, we try to tell you, and you were in denial. And let me ask you something, Nick. Do you still think that Dak Prescott is the man?
Yep.
Do you still believe all that rhetoric you're pushing?
Yep.
Because I don't.
And so do you.
And I think it's proven. Nick. Mm-hmm. Every time we try to tell you, and it's proven. It's proven.
Hey.
It's just history repeating itself.
Hey, Michael. You called Wednesday, January the 10th. Go back and listen to what you said Wednesday, January the 10th. And I don't even know, but if you were saying that, good for you. If you weren't, don't bring it. Don't bring it today, because that's not. You call a lot. That's not what you said 3 days ago. You're hurting because of the loss. That's fine. That's fine. That's fine.
I've been telling you that. I even told you that, and you told me no. Dak Prescott was the guy, and this and that, but. Mm-hmm. Anyways, look, I just want to say thank you, for your show all year. It's been great. Shout out to Chris and shout out to you, man. You guys have a good one.
Greg in Sacramento is next in the show me state of California. Greg.
Hey, how you doing, Nick?
I'm great.
Man, another heartbreaker to watch over here. It was, I went to to watch it at a bar, and there was
Afterwards?
a good amount of no, during the game. It was a little sports bar, and there was a good amount of Cowboys fans. Like there were more Cowboys fans there than there were, Green Bay fans. And by the time we scored that first touchdown, we didn't even celebrate. Like there wasn't any celebration. We were just like,
it was over.
Like,
the game was over. Yeah.
Yeah, the game was already over, and it's like, I don't know. It was a rough one to watch. It was probably one of the first games that, I mean, I am always a Dak defender, like I really am, but I really did kind of put this one on Dak and maybe the offensive line too. One of the other things too was I kind of got into a debate with one of the other Cowboys fans there, and he was like calling for Mike McCarthy's head, and I'm like, no, like, do you know, like he's coming? I don't understand why. And that's kind of the sentiment I feel like of a lot of people. Like Mike McCarthy needs to go, and I don't understand why. He's done a good job. I mean, 3 back-to-back 12-win seasons. Like, does everyone forget the 8-8, like Jason Garrett era and stuff like that? And I don't see why McCarthy would have to go. I get it. Jerry was upset and stuff like that, but I mean, I really don't put this one on McCarthy. I mean, he got us to the dance. That's what he's supposed to do as a coach, get us to the postseason. And then in the playoffs, like, players are supposed to execute. Teams are supposed to play better in the playoffs. It's supposed to be like a more competitive and more drive. And, you're in it basically to go to the Super Bowl at this point. You've got a few weeks to get it done. And so it's supposed to get you're supposed to get up for the games more. And I just feel like the past 2 years, the Cowboys don't do that. We don't get up for these games, these postseason games. We don't step our game up, and I don't understand. Why. I don't know if that's like a player mindset, or how do you think we go about like changing that? Is it a culture shift? Or like what?
There's just way more questions right now than you don't have the answers to it, and I don't know. I wish I could tell you, because I don't agree with everything there about the coach. Yeah, he got him there. He got him to the dance, but he wrecked the car getting there. Or whatever analogy you want to say, but like he gets the blame. He gets the blame. I mean, like his team, he's got better players. They're at home where they've been dominant all year, and they were out coached. They were out coached. They were out executed. So he gets the blame. The quarterback gets the blame. He said it himself. He said that he sucked. That's what he said. It took him 2.5 quarters to finally move the ball, and the Packers weren't even really playing the same defense at that point. Just trying to get through the game, and because with another game to play the next week, they couldn't function against that defense, and they got out coached. They got confused. So I put it on them. I put it on the players too. I mean, CD Lamb hasn't played like that all year. The defense, hold up now. I mean, when do they get their turn? Because they couldn't stop anybody. They couldn't run the ball. They couldn't stop the run. Sorry, they couldn't. They were leaving guys wide open in the secondary. I mean, they turned this guy into Aaron Rodgers. Everyone was like, "Oh, we don't have Aaron Rodgers." He was better than Aaron Rodgers has ever been against the Cowboys. Jordan Love. So, I think everybody gets some, and you got a defensive coordinator. I'm just going to say it. I mean, these are the facts. The defensive coordinator is interviewing for 5 different places this week. 5 different jobs he's got lined up this week. And your defense had the absolute worst showing it's ever had in a game. And he's got 5 jobs lined up. All I'm saying is, and he said all the right things before, that he does this preparation in the offseason and all that. It does, he's not, he's going to be focused on everything. But I'm just saying that was the worst performance we've ever seen from the Cowboys defense. And, so if there were distractions all across the coaching staff, the players, it looked like it. Nobody gets an excuse. All I'm saying is that everybody gets a little bit of the blame. And I'll go back to what Michael said before about Dak. What do I believe in Dak? Yeah. I mean, I go off what I see. And what I saw him all year long was a guy that carried the team. He played poorly in that game. In this playoff game, he played poorly. Does he play poorly in every playoff game? I don't know if that's even fair to say. You'd have to go back and look. But the record's not good enough. They aren't good enough. When they get in the playoffs, they aren't good enough. But you guys that just want to, and if there's going to be more callers, fine, that want to talk bad about Dak and what they should do, that's fine. Just all I say this is understand the salary cap. If you have an understanding of the salary cap and what it is, and how to function with it, and the other quarterbacks out there and what you have to do, then have the opinion. But if you're just going to be blind about it and say, get rid of this guy, and you don't understand the ramifications, then you're wasting everyone's time. So I'm just saying, understand the cap and what it means and what you got to do and the recourse and what you have to do after that. All right, Rob in Vegas.
Hey, Nick.
What's up?
Well, that was embarrassing. Probably the most embarrassed in probably 40 years. But
yeah,
I would need my own show to talk about the whole team. So I'll just narrow it down to the two most important guys, Dak and Mike McCarthy. The team looked like Tommy Hearns. If they hit you, they're going to knock you out. But if you hit the Cowboys in the mouth, they fold like a cheap suit. And that you would have thought they were playing the 49ers. I mean, they were so intimidated. And I don't know. And let's talk about Dak. Listen, Dak is 2-5 in the playoffs. He's not for whatever reason, he doesn't even resemble the regular season. But that's probably because in the NFL, there's like three groups of teams. There's bad teams, good teams, and playoff caliber. And the league is mostly bad and good. And he feasts on the bad teams, and we know who they are, the Giants, Washington. And then he does good against the good. He'll lose a couple. But he's terrible. He doesn't win against playoff caliber. And look at this year. 4 losses, all playoff teams. And he lost in Arizona, which was maybe a fluke. I don't know. You're right. He's a $60 million hit. You can't do it. You're stuck with him. You're going to have to redo the contract, unfortunately. And he's probably looking at $55 million, which he's not worth $55 million. We all know that. He's not good enough. He needs too much help. Out of any of these quarterbacks making that kind of money, he's been surrounded with leading rushers, now one of the best wide receivers, tight end. He had it all this year, home field, and he still fell apart. But unfortunately, you're stuck with him, so figure it out. But if you're going to be stuck with him, then you have to get rid of Mike McCarthy because, first of all, Mike McCarthy wasn't brought here to go 12-5. He was brought here to win in the playoffs, and he has not. Second of all, Dak needs things to be more perfect. Well, you can't have the team leading penalties every year. So there's no discipline on the field. Off the field, you would think they got their own radio shows, game show. I mean, it's just ridiculous. They're not tough in the trenches. He still hasn't figured out the running game. And this is why when we talk about Bill Belichick fixes those things. He fixes your penalties. They're always the least penalized team. He will make you tougher because he'll probably make you bigger. He won't be playing safety at linebacker. He'll find a running game. And just his attitude, I just think will make better people. Time management, Mike McCarthy's horrible at. I think Belichick is better at that. So I just think you have to move on from him. I'm sure Jerry, and if Jerry doesn't make a move, really what he's saying to the fans is, I'd rather be relevant for 17 games than 3 or 4, whatever it takes to get to the Super Bowl. Because this formula doesn't win in the playoffs. It's like the Dodgers. Great regular season. That formula does not win in the playoffs for them.
What did the Dodgers do this offseason?
They throw money at everything, but they do it every year. And they go nowhere in the playoffs. They're built for the regular season. The Cowboys are built for the regular season. They don't.
Okay, hold on, Rob. But my point is, and I'll take off your point. The Dodgers this offseason, I don't know, I don't really follow them, but if that's what the moniker is for them, this offseason they went and got they almost spend $1 billion, right, on 2 players?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, they do it every year.
Not that.
They do it every year.
Not $1 billion.
Yeah. Well, no, because
But-
the money now is insane.
Well, but what I'm saying
this
is,
isn't a buy their way out of it. The Cowboys have the talent. Nobody thought they were going to lose to a 7 seed who had a 28th ranked defense that lost to Tommy DeVito and the Giants.
Mm-hmm.
And we played against them like they were the 49ers. We were so intimidated and so scared for whatever. And Dak, once you see him on the sideline with that blank stare, you know it's over. I don't know what happened. I don't know what happens to him in the playoffs. Like I said, he had a great regular season, best of his career. He wasn't even half as good, and we've seen it before. I don't know if you could fix that mindset. There were guys that we know who the stars are that excel in the playoffs. They're legends. He's not. 2-5. I think the only 2 quarterbacks have that record of Billy Kilmer and Alex Smith. I mean, listen, but you're stuck with him. You're stuck with him for another, 3-4 years. So if you're stuck with him, you need to change the culture around him.
All right.
Get a ring game. Get tougher, and you won't have to put so much on him. By the way, and Belichick may be the only guy to get Micah Parsons to stop being a diva, since he did coach the greatest defensive player that ever lived, and who Micah Parsons has been compared to laughably. So, listen, fans, they should want Belichick.
Rob, can you call at 1:00 in the afternoon, which is 11 your time? Is that still working to your schedule? Good.
Yes, I can, Nick.
Good.
You'll hear from me.
Good. Because of the.
I appreciate you, Nick.
And I appreciate you too. Some of your points that you made, obviously, I will not touch at this point. I think you know what they are and why. But change need to be made. Thanks for the call. And I like what you said about the Dodgers. And I say this because they're trying things, and then it's not working in the playoffs. So they're trying to get over the hump, and they made the biggest splash of all time. Is it Otani? Is that how you say it? But my point is, different leagues, no salary cap. I understand all that. The point is that they've got to do something if they want to keep building this. They got to make a huge splash, which I think is what the Cowboys have to do. They have to do that. They have to make a splash here because this is the time to go over the top. Whether it's a coaching change, whether it's a players that you need to bring in, they need to do something. Let's go back to the Dak part. Stuck with Dak. See, this is where it gets tricky because this is where the dominoes start to affect. Because Dak is linked right now to McCarthy in the fact that that's the play caller and that he got him to play his best season that he's ever had. He's going to be, the votes have been turned in, he's going to be in the top 3 or 4 or 2 for MVP, unless they haven't voted yet, and maybe that changes. I don't know. But my point is he's had his best season. And first-year play caller, first-year offense here, you liked what you saw for the most part in the season. So if you're keeping Dak, and to keep Dak, he's 50. He's not. His contract's not done. He's got one more year. The hit is like $59 million. So to make that work and have a team around him, they're going to have to. They could lower his base and lower his entire cap hit by extending years. That's how you work around the cap. Or you just play it out. You just play it out this year and then see what happens. And that probably doesn't sit well with anybody, but that might be how it happens because that's not a great option either, just from a financial and from just the personal dynamics of a quarterback on his last year and all that stuff. So, but that's kind of I think what Rob's alluding to with the stuck part. But it's kind of I think the question is coaching, offense, defense coordinator. I mean, all these coordinators are probably going to change. If they make a move on offense, if they make a move with the head coach, then you're gonna have a new coordinator, and then you're probably gonna have a new defensive coordinator. So there's gonna be a lot of changes there. But that's where the Dak thing kind of comes in Do you want to start over with Dak with a new offense, or keep everything status quo? So a little tougher than you think to some of these questions. All right, Travis in California.
Hey, Nick, how's it going?
How you doing?
Yeah, I'm doing all right, man. Hey, I'll do a couple quick points. My dad and I, we do a Cowboys game every year. We're trying to go to every stadium. We're at, I want to say 12 or 14. You and I actually met in Atlanta. I think it was 2017. We were at an Irish pub, and
oh gosh,
he said, "Hey, some guys asked us to move down to the bar." And I come back to the bathroom, and it's you, David Hellman, and Rob Phillips. And nice. I was pretty excited to see you guys.
We got Rob at a bar? Wow. I'm just kidding, Rob. No, awesome.
But you guys were great. It was. I felt starstruck for a moment seeing you guys. But, hey, I love your guys' podcast. So,
thank you. Thanks.
Hey,
I don't know if I remember that, but, it could be because we were at the bar, right?
Could be. But, hey, I mean, I don't have too much to say about the game. I think, obviously, there's a lot of frustration going on, and it's understandable. I tried calling in last week, and I was going to say people were crazy to look at McCarthy and look at Dak and talk about replacing him. But, I mean, I think after that game, I think really everything is on the table.
Yeah.
And the offensive scheme was phenomenal at points this year. And at points, it was just god-awful. I mean, I saw someone make a point about this, and I think it's true that when McCarthy gets nervous or gets scared, he starts coaching scared, and the scheme changes. So we go from a offense that is airing the ball out. Dak has a really high yards per average in attempts to, I mean, middle of the game last week, Dak had like a 6 yard per attempt. And so it goes from this, we're going to air the ball out, we're going to go over the middle, we're really trying to push the ball down the field, to all of a sudden we're throwing the ball 3 yards past the line of scrimmage. And I think that comes down to coaching. It comes down to our scheme. And I think that would be my biggest thing for why we should potentially look at, moving past McCarthy is we can't revert back to what we've already seen doesn't work well. I mean, it looked like the offense from the beginning of the season to me, where they're just not really trying to push the ball. They're not really trying to be aggressive. And, it's easier to move on from the coordinator than it is the quarterback. So I think at least for now, we need to ride with Dak. But I heard what you said about, McCarthy getting Dak to have his best season of the year, and that's absolutely right. But we can't revert back to what we saw at the beginning of the season. I mean, we've already seen that hasn't worked. So
yeah, you're right. I mean, I agree with that. I'm trying to say both sides of this and why, it's a difficult decision because, the McCarthy one is not easy. I mean, it's not easy. It's kind of what I think one of the last callers said about, do you want to be relevant? And relevant's not even the right word because they've been really good. They've been better than relevant. They've been up there. You give yourself a chance. But Jason Garrett's teams didn't always give you the chance to do that. So, on one hand, that's good, but you're right, and the callers are right about why they brought him in to take it to another level that he hasn't taken them. So it's tricky. This is definitely a tricky situation because, there's a lot of teams that would kill to be in the position, but the problem is that here with the Cowboys and the standard, it's just that's not good enough. It's not. So, and I understand that too. That's why I think that Jerry has a lot of tough decisions to make.
Yeah. And I'll let you go with this, but I think we can let Dan Quinn go off and get his head coaching job. I mean, I don't know how you would hire him after that performance. And looking at the last 3 years of playoff performances from Dan Quinn, I mean, it hasn't looked phenomenal, especially against Shanahan-style offenses, which is what the league is going to.
Yeah.
But, I'll let you go on
All right.
that.
Thanks, Travis. Thank you. Good call. Appreciate that. All right, let's go to Brian in Kansas City.
Good morning, Mr. Eatman.
Good morning, Brian.
Well, I appreciate you opening the show with an apology.
Yeah. I feel bad for you. I feel bad for the fans. I do. You guys deserve way better than this. And especially the ones that I know on this show. You know, the committed fans like that just pour so much time and energy. And, you know, it's part of it. When you enjoy the ride, sometimes it doesn't end well. And that's the thing. That's the part of it. And if you want to be hesitant and go, oh, well, how's it going to be? Or are they going to lose? Well, that's fine too, because then you're not going to get let down on games like this. But if you go all in like a true diehard fan, just says, this is our year, and then it's not, you get hit in the face with a 2x4. And it stings for a few days. So, and I would imagine it's still stinging.
Yeah, no question, man. Feels like you slammed your hand in a car door. You know, you just had it all planned out. You know, you're looking at it and saying, well, you know, we're favored here. We'll probably be favored next week no matter who it is. And, you know, we won't be favored if the Niners make it, you know, do their business. We probably wouldn't have been favored in that game. But, yeah, I have to give Isaiah some credit. I talk to and sometimes listen to their show, and he pointed this out last week, and then he mentioned it again this morning. Because I couldn't figure out why the defense looked so different. It looked like they were playing a totally different defense.
Yeah.
And he said last week, before the game, he said, with that injury, Gilmore can't jam people at the line of scrimmage. They're going to have to change the defense. And I wondered, you know, at 28 minutes into the game, it's 27-0. Maybe you try Nahshon Wright, you know, and go back to your defense, because that one ain't working.
Yeah.
And if, you know, him and Machota and Nick were talking about this, they don't play a lot of that defense.
No.
So they got confused with passing people off and who's supposed to be where. And, you know, you just hate to see Quinn, you know, assuming that he gets one of these jobs and decides to take it. You hate to see that be his swan song, is just being his defense being dismantled, because, you know, I don't know. I mean, it's easy to play Monday morning, or today's Tuesday morning quarterback.
Yeah.
And say they should have put Nahshon Wright out there. You know, I'm not an NFL coach. What the hell do I know? But I would have tried something else. And
well, that would have been my last resort, honestly. And he is the last resort. He's just, I don't know. I don't know if that's the right answer either. But, yeah, you know, it's funny is the irony of this is, and I'm going to say this, never in my life am I ever going to be cheering for any other teams to happen, any other playoff matchups. I'm never doing that again, because soon as you think that this is the best matchup for you, it isn't. So, you know, I just thought with Gilmore's injury, I was like, man, I think I'd rather play Jordan Love and the Packers with receivers that I really don't know who they are, you know, as opposed to playing Stafford and like Cooper Kupp and Puka Nacua. You know, that's what I was thinking, is this would be a better matchup if Gilmore's banged up or whatever. So doesn't matter. It didn't matter. It didn't matter. These guys, I mean, who are these receivers? And yet they had like career days. So it was, and that's what they had to do. That's fine. But you know, say that. I mean, it's not an excuse to say, well, we did have to change the defense up a little bit, and you know, it cost us. We changed it up because of injury. But no one says that, because a lot of people like to say, well, if you're out there, you're playing. But in this case, it didn't seem like he was, because he was out there, but he wasn't playing in a normal way. And, you know, but then they didn't have any other options, really. So
yeah, and the defense just looked totally different. And I mean, Dak looked terrible the first half. You know, the first half, Dak just looked. You know, first 28 minutes, they got a little something going there in the last 2 minutes, but yeah, he just looked bewildered by what he was seeing. And he said it at the podium. You know, he said that, you know, they were showing one thing pre-snap, changing it post-snap, and it seems like every time he has a bad game, that's kind of the narrative. Hey, man, I really want to thank you for the show this year. This has been a godsend, being able to be a part of this. Don't know I can call in at 1 o'clock in the afternoons, but I'll do my best to find a way to maybe participate a time or two. And I had a question, if you're allowed to answer. I know you're one of the big bosses there. you know who's on the draft show this year and what day it might be, and I'll hang up. Brother.
Yeah.
Hey, thank you so much for the show this year, Brian.
Thank you, Brian. And we're gonna figure some things out. We're still kind of toying with the schedule a little bit because remember this is a new show, and so there's not a lot of from going off of last year's schedule. There wasn't a lot of time slots typically in the 10 and 11 o'clock. That's why we're trying in the afternoon. But what we might do, and I'll see if I can get Chris to help me on this. But every once in a while, we might do a Friday show, maybe. So I'll say this about the draft show. I think it sounds like Derek will be making an announcement here soon on the lineup this year. But I'll just say this: they're going to be starting sooner than later. So I'll say that be ready for a draft show pretty soon because they don't waste a lot of time when it comes to that. They get going, and so the off season's here. So you'll be seeing a draft show pretty soon. And you'll see an announcement here soon. Follow Derek Eagleton for that. He will make that announcement if he doesn't make it on the show here on the break coming up after this. All right, let's go to get a text question from Steve in New York. How do fans go from talking about Dak in the MVP conversation to letting him go? Well, I mean, I think again performances like that. I mean, it's always been that way. What have you done for me yesterday? I mean, that's what it is. And that's what makes shows like this, and that's why we have 7, 8 podcasts or whatever. That's why we have this many, because everyone's got an opinions, and you have to change them all the time. I typically don't do that. I'm not ever going to be a just this knee jerk reaction to things. Now. I understand that was a terrible performance, and your thoughts on Dak are going to change. They're going to change week by week. That's what happens. This is a big picture world. I hear it in the press box every game. I hear it on the radio if I choose to listen to that. Is that it's always an opinion. Like if you see Tony Pollard get stopped for a 2-yard loss, it's this guy's not very good. I mean, it happens all the time. It happens all the time. So I try not to. I try to take the big scope of things. But yeah, you're going. This is the last game of the season, and it's the last game because of the way this team played, particularly the quarterback. So yeah, I can. It's a frustrating thing. I understand, but to answer the question, this is the nature of fandom, or even the way the media operates. It always that way. Should they be letting him go? I don't think so. Should he be in the MVP talk? I don't think so. Somewhere in the middle of that. That's a pretty big middle. All right. I don't even know who's next. Travis, San Antonio? Yep.
Hey, Nick.
What's up, Travis?
What's going on? I just wanted
I got a lot of time on my hands, so.
Yeah, same here. I'll still be calling at 1 o'clock, and I told Chris when I was waiting, like I said, I appreciate everything you guys have done this year, having the show and everything.
Thank you.
It's been great. So, I'll give you guys the flowers since there's not much flowers to give to anybody else.
Well, they're dying over here. It could be because of the winter, or it just could be other things.
Yeah. But yeah, I heard the other caller. Like as far as the game goes, it was really, I guess the most disheartening part for me was like, we saw a certain type of style of play on offense and defense all year. Well, offense besides like the first couple weeks or whatever, and it just seemed like both coordinators went against what was their tendencies. And I don't know about other fans, but I'd rather just like, if we're going to lose, let's lose the way we've been playing. Because I get that maybe Gilmore was injured, but I don't totally buy that about like, oh, well, he was injured, so we had to change the whole defense. I don't understand why they played that much zone when universally throughout the year everyone said this team plays more man than almost anybody. I don't know if they're number one, but they were like top 3 all year playing man. And then all of a sudden you change it up. That doesn't sound like it's a very good idea. I mean, for guys getting game reps, like getting passing stuff off and whatnot. And on offense, the first couple possessions I was really looking at because it was like run, and they were playing one of the teams that was the last in the league in pass defense on first down. So I don't know if this is a situation where both coordinators decided to go, let's go against our tendencies, but that's sure how it looked.
It did look that way.
I mean, if you got a fastball, even if they're hitting it,
bring it.
Well, let's go bring the heat like that. That's what we're going to go with. Don't all of a sudden start throwing curve. If you can't throw a curveball and hit the plate, let's not throw curveballs. Let's just play with what we got. So, And as far as Dak goes, I'm not going to be like, oh, we got to cut him or whatever. Like, overall, I think he is good. However, the question I really want to ask you is, because I just heard you earlier, I know he's been good overall and good regular season, and he had a lot of the leverage as far as negotiating and whatnot, and he still does because of the way his previous contract was set up. But do you think there's any chance that the team brings up, maybe Dak says, I don't want to extend, because the team goes, look, we know this is what you've done over the years up to the regular season, but we do have to look at 2-5. Like, we can't discount the playoff success or lack of success. Is that something that they can bring up and just go, like, with his agent, do you think, and go, or would you bring up, let me ask you like that, would you bring it up and go, look, I know you want to come in here and just say, I'm the best, I want the top contract. Yeah. I just don't know how feasible that is when you can't discount that. So I'm just curious what you think.
I think that's a good question, and I think when you're negotiating things, I think thanks for the call, Travis. I think everything's on the table when you're negotiating, and so I think that has to be part of it. What are we paying for? And how do you stack up with, because I tell you this, if the agent, if part of the negotiation is throwing out stats, then let's throw them all out there. Let's throw out the stats on the things that matter, not just completion percentage here or first down rate or quarterback passer ratings or all the 400-yard games or this. I mean, throw them all out there, and starting with the ones of playoff success and when the game and the season's really on the line, how do you perform? So I agree. I mean, I think you have to do that. I mean, I think if you are negotiating, and I don't know how all that's going to work. I really don't. I think the dilemma that the Cowboys are in is they probably don't want to extend Dak. They want to go one more season, but this one more season is the $59 million. And I've said this a lot. Okay, I've said this a ton when he signed the deal. And it was, what was it, $40 million a year? I think it was 4 for $160. It was like, easy math. It was like $40 a year. And yet his cap hit his first year was about $5 million. And then the second year was about $12 million. And then maybe $20 million or so. And so you're like, wait a second. If it's $40 million a year and you haven't gotten close to hitting $40 million a year, at some point it's not going to be, and here we are. This is where the 60 is, So that's kind of where the Cowboys are. They push it back until you have to make a decision. And so here they are with that. And so it's hard to build a team around a $60 million dollar quarterback when he needs help. So then what do you do? So I think what's going to happen is that they have to decide. Are we committed to him? If so, then let's extend him a little bit. Let's extend the years if he'll even want to do that. So it's a tricky situation. I know I've said that a couple times because it is. It just is. It's not. This is very not black and white. It's very gray this week. This is going to be for a while here. All right, Mark in Florida.
Hey, Nick. How you doing, buddy?
Good. How are you?
Nick, I'm good, Nick. Listen, the sun came up the next day, they say, right? So, listen, I've been watching the Cowboys for over 50 years, okay? And I don't want to laugh at Cowboy fans. You want to walk away from Dak Prescott. Where are you going, Nick?
Well,
Where are you going?
That's a good question.
So once you make that decision to go away from Dak, you're blowing it up. Is what you're doing. You're blowing it up. And there's no way they should blow this up. I could name maybe off the top of my head 2 numbers for you. At least a half a dozen quarterbacks who have won a Super Bowl that was probably out of football within the next 3 years, okay? 2 come to mind, Trent Dilfer and the Giant backup quarterback. A backup quarterback won a Super Bowl. So So to walk away from Dak Prescott is absolutely mindless. Okay, there's maybe 24 teams in this league that would trade places with us right now at the quarterback position. Okay, so how Dak is going to help us? Just what you were talking about, his contract. Let's have a couple of Brady contracts where he gives up takes less money so the Cowboys can put money into other positions. He wants to be the team player. He's made all this money to this point. Well, then you know what? Give this club, as bad as you feel how you played, give this club a quarterback-friendly deal, and let's move on. The second thing, coach. To me, the coach is the franchise. I don't know if I'm saying the right words, but when you look at guys for toughness, okay, that's not Mike McCarthy, okay? And to me, you are a reflection of your coach, okay? We can name guys. They're not all-time. Mike Tomlin. Say what you want about the Steelers, okay? But when you're in a game with them, you're sore after the game, win or lose, okay? So to me, Mike McCarthy is got to go. And by changing the coach, you're not blowing it up. You're not blowing it up.
Are you sure about that? I mean, are you sure?
No, I don't believe you're blowing it up. You get rid of the coach. You know why? Because you still got the same players. You still got basically the same players. Give or take, a few are going to leave.
Yeah.
To me, you got to get a running game, Nick.
Yeah, I agree.
They sugarcoat this all year. Okay, you got to get a running game. And, we're doing okay. We're averaging 4.4. No. Watch the games. You don't have a running game. They miscalculated on Tony Pollard being the go-to guy back there, the horse, or however you want to say it. Okay, to me, you get a defensive-minded, let's go kick their butt today, win or lose. They're going to know they were in a game, okay? And you hire a good offensive coordinator, and they'll be fine. They'll be fine. What I want to ask those people, they want to walk away from Dak Prescott, tell me where you're going.
Yeah.
Tell me where you're going. What's your answer? It's easy to say get rid of Dak Prescott. Okay, who's our quarterback then? So I don't believe that, Nicky. He's good enough to win a Super Bowl with. Unfortunately, he can't take the 52 other guys on his back and take them along. So he needs help, like the Matt Hasselbacks did, like the Trent Dilfers did, and he don't become the focal point of the offense. It gets moved around. And to me, that starts with a running game. When a quarterback has a running game, the whole approach changes. So that's my feeling. I think this was, when you hire a coach, to me, Nick, okay, let's say you're building from ground up. There's a plan. There's a 4-year plan, a 5-year plan, whatever it is. Mike McCarthy's plan now has run its course. And his last attempt was to take over the play calling. And that's what we got this year. And it wasn't good enough. So to me, there's not another year to Mike McCarthy's plan. What's his plan now going forward? He made his change. He took the play calling. So to me, you got to walk away from McCarthy. Fair or not is another whole argument. But to me, you got to get a defensive-minded coach, a tough coach, a disciplined coach. And that's another thing. I'm not in the locker room. But I didn't feel like there was a whole hell of a lot of discipline on this team. I could be totally wrong. So that's my two takes. You keep Prescott. You get a defensive-minded coach. You keep who you can keep as far as free agents. And you stay with Dak Prescott and get him a damn running game.
All right, Mark, thank you for the call. There's some, I appreciate at least having answers on trying to make, because that's what happens is, got to get rid of the coach, got to get rid of the coach, got to get rid of the player, got to get rid of the quarterback. But I mean, who do you want to bring in, and how much does that cost, and how much does it cost to get rid of people, all that kind of things. I mean, I think the problem though, with Mark's question of who do you want to have at quarterback, I think the problem is if you look at the final 8 teams right now, the quarterbacks that are left are Jared Goff, Baker Mayfield, Brock Purdy, Jordan Love, Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, C.J. Stroud. Some of those are considered the top best in the league. Mahomes maybe he's going to one day be one of the best of all time if he's not there already. but then you look at the other guy, and the point is there's other ways to do it. I mean, there's ways to do it. There's ways that these teams are winning, and it's not necessarily with high-priced quarterbacks. So it's not an easy formula to do it. And I don't know. I don't know if looking at this year, if another quarterback, cheaper quarterback, do they go and win? In spite of him, I don't know. All right, Raza in Virginia is next.
Hey, Nick, how are you?
Good.
Haven't been really listening. Just listened to the last caller. Agree with him a little bit, but overall, another good season. Like the past couple of years, it was nice. I actually got to meet you in the Washington game.
Okay.
Because we took a selfie. Pretty dope moment.
Yeah, cool.
That was fun.
Yeah.
Great show. Love that we get to hear the people's opinion, the venting, and everything. With me, I don't know where to go. I just hope we don't. I guess we have to bring back McCarthy. Right now I think is a good time to let him go. There's two people that can change the culture that are available, and I believe Belichick and Harbaugh. But let's see. I don't mind keeping McCarthy again. But my main thing is I think Dak. I just hope we don't extend him unless he gets maybe like a $40 million extension or $35 million. I don't think he's worth the 50 or 60. We can't live with that. He's 2-5 in the playoffs. He just, in big moments, even this year, all the big moment games, he didn't show up.
Well, just know this. No extension in the history of extensions and contracts in any sport, in any business has ever been done if both parties don't sign it. Just remember that. So I think we give Dak this or we give Dak that. He doesn't have to sign it. So you know what I'm saying? It's got to work for both, and that's what I think some people kind of forget. He's not just going to come in and be like, "Oh, I sucked, we lost. Whatever you want, I'll take it." No, it doesn't work that way. And he doesn't. But I'm not trying to say you don't know that. I'm just saying, remember, he's got to agree to that too, and his agent have to agree to that too.
Yeah, then if that comes and if he wants that big money, obviously, which he does deserve, he's an all-pro quarterback in regular season. He's very good. He beats on teams, average teams, below teams. Sometimes he'll beat the good team.
Mm-hmm.
Then if we can just eat the cap. Jerry Jones made the move for Trey Lance for a reason. He's a first-round talent that's barely played football. If you remember, he missed his college year. Barely played in San Francisco, got injured. If he has talent to be a first-rounder by barely playing football, McCarthy's a QB guru. I believe he's been working with him. Maybe if they see something, I'd go that way. And then I really just, I don't know where to put the blame, what to do. I think it's this the last point I'll have.
Everybody.
I just have one question for you. I think it's on Jerry, even though I believe Jerry does a good job. He said publicly he made that deal with God in '93 that just give me one more, I won't ask for another one. And, God has said, you told everyone our prayer. I'm not going to look like a chump.
Okay.
Since '93, we haven't had another one. So God's keeping his end of the bargain, and the deal's the deal. So I think that's it. And then just one question. Listen, if you could say what would be your off-season moves, what you would like to do, and then did the press box in Washington get any better with the new ownership?
Yes. Yeah, it was a little better.
Oh, okay.
It was better. What would I do? We have 1 more minute left on the show. I don't have time. Thanks for the call, Raza. I don't have time for what would I do.
One last question.
No. Joe in Long Island. Sorry, Raza. I'm sorry. Joe in Long Island. What's up, man?
Hey, what's up, Nick? How you doing, man?
I'm all right. What's up? Sorry, we're running out of time here. What do you got?
Man. Not too much, man. I just wanted to call, man. Number one, just say thanks for all you guys do, man. I love this show. You guys are great. That showing we had on Saturday, man. I just it's so disappointing. It really is. After all the whole season and all the hype that I just don't understand. I don't understand the scheme that we had. I don't understand what happened.
Yeah,
we're down by so many points, and we run the ball. There's no sense of urgency. We need to score. I know it's over by that point anyway, but still, we'll go home if we lose. So let's just try everything we can.
Yeah.
We run the ball, and it's just.
They
so
lost the game
man.
in many ways, but when they didn't score coming out of the second half, when they didn't score to make it a 13-point game, they didn't score a touchdown. They just kept it at 17. I think that was it right there. Or the pick six by Dak coming out of the 2-minute warning. That was pretty bad too. But But yeah, I mean, I have no answers for you either. They went away from the game plan, and it showed. So,
and just the last thing I'm going to say, man. Look, I defend Dak up and down all the time, and I don't think we should get rid of him. I don't.
Okay.
I mean, I think he's a good quarterback, man. I don't know what he's got to get. I don't know. I think it's a mindset. I'm not sure, but something's got to happen, man, because it sucks. But you know what? I'm still going to be here tomorrow for the Cowboys, right?
All right.
So no matter what, I mean, it's just, like you said, you put so much time into this, and I know it's like our choice to be fans like this, but it's like, holy shit, excuse my language, holy, you know what I'm saying, man?
Yeah.
It sucks, dude. It just sucks to go out like that. But I hope you have a good day, and we'll be here next year.
All right. Thanks. How ironic, because really we've had calls the entire time since the start of the preseason to now, and we've had 10, 11 calls, 15 sometimes every single day. And the last show of this regular season, and the last caller in the last minute of the show drops a cuss word. It might be the first one we've had since this whole time. So fitting, I guess. Anyways, the question earlier about the draft show, it'll start tomorrow. Kyle Yeomans, Nick Harris, Bobby Belt, Zach Wolchuk, Aisha Morrison, Brian Broaddus. Don't know where they're going to fit, but I think that's the team. They won't all be on it probably at once, but that'll be the team. There'll be a lot of schedules in the offseason. We'll have some chairs kind of floating in and out, but that's going to be the core of the group on it. So that's the team for the draft show, which starts tomorrow. Stay tuned to Twitter. We will throw out what our schedule is going to be moving forward, looking like a 1 o'clock time slot, probably twice a week during the off season. So still give you guys a chance to do some things. And if we do decide to do an occasional Friday show, we'll go back to the 10 o'clock spot to make sure the callers, I can call at 10, will call then. All right, for everyone, thank you so much. All season long, it's been outstanding. We're not really going anywhere. We're just gonna pull back a little bit. It's been great. For Chris Beam, I'm Nick Eatman. Sorry again that this is the last one, but it is. Until the next time on Cowboys Storyline.
This has been a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about this, Cowboys?